convention across the pond, as it is, and I'm glad to see that everyone's coming to support both the event and the cause. Thank you. For those of you who don't know, hi, my name is Brian J Cano. You may have seen me on Sci-Fi's Haunted Collector. It's on really here, right? Really? Yeah. Is it really? Hard to get my head wrapped around. Some of you may have seen me from my original project called Scared. Did anyone have seen that? Show of hands. Wow, more than usual. This is what I like to do. Sometimes we get speakers and they like to lecture, or they like to just kind of show a PowerPoint slide, and there's a lot of information. Back when I was in college, no matter how interested I was in the topic, no matter how excited about the subject I was, when I'm in your place and someone's out here speaking, I tend to do this. Sometimes you can be clever and be like, oh, I've got a headache. And you start to do it. I don't want to do that. So this is a conversation. This is going to be a back and forth. This is interactive. And since it will be so, there will be times where I will commonly come into the audience and I'll be with you. And especially those of you who are sleeping. Claire, I'm going to be in the mix with you, so beware. And because this is a conversation, I literally want this to be interactive. If at any time you have a question about either what I'm talking about or something that's just burning on your mind that you must know, literally shoot up your hand and we'll address it, because this is interaction. I want this to be about you guys too. So I guess we'll start off. The first question that I have for you, good people. How many people here consider themselves believers in the paranormal? Go with high. Ooh, hot. Very nice. How about skeptics? What skeptics at? Okay, that was my next category. Skeptical believer. All right, that's where I currently fall under. When I first started doing this back in 2002, I considered myself to be the skeptic. Capital S, underlined, bold, italic. Skeptic. I had no faith system. I was an atheist. I just came out of college, so I knew everything. And I felt that, okay, it's going to be my task to try and prove or disprove whatever is put before me. So now looking through this as a skeptic, I didn't believe, so it wasn't something that I was looking to move towards something. I was just looking very focused at whatever was brought before me, whatever photograph or piece of audio evidence or even an anecdote. But as time went on, and I did more investigating, I went on more cases, and YouTube pops up behind me, I started to see a little more. And it's like a door opening up, and you look through it, through that crack. And the more you do the work, the door opens up a little more, figuratively speaking. And you look through. And once the door is wide enough and you can see through it, you are changed, and you're never quite the same person. It's like seeing your parents having sex. It's just... Oh! That's okay. So, like, literally, you are changed by it. And anyone who's done the work for any amount of time tells you that, yes, you learn, perspectives change. And I'm going to be talking a lot about that. Some of you may have noticed the shirt I'm wearing. It's something I've coined called paralosophy. A lot of times, and especially, all right, I'm on Haunted Collector, so a lot of people expect me to talk about tech and gadgets and gear. And it's great. I love it. I'm a guy. I love my toys. The more lights, the better. The more noises and sounds, I get excited by this. But I'm not here to really discuss how we work, but why. And I want you guys, when you leave here today, to open up your minds a little bit more. If I could just kind of force things into a different direction. I want everyone to consider different possibilities and different viewpoints. And like I said, when I first started as a skeptic, my view was very narrow, but now I'm almost too receiving of things. But that was in 2002. It's 2014 now. So the Brian of 2002 and the Brian of today, would have a lot to argue about. Who knows where I'm going to be in 2026? You don't know. So a lot of you are wearing, and most of you should have, those bands that are handing out. What do they say? Never stop searching. And this is the quest I've been on. And I think privately, after this, Some of you need to come talk to me because there's something that I've been researching lately that is blowing my mind. I have what I call oh shit moments. Oh shit moments. These are the moments that literally force me to expand, that force me to accept other possibilities. I remember my first moment of this kind was when I first looked into what EVPs were. Now this is not common knowledge that you go to school and they teach you about electronic voice phenomenon. This is something that when you're in the work, you eventually come across and discover. And it blew my mind that, what? We're hearing spirit voices on audio equipment? That's amazing! And I tell my buddy Chris, who started scared with me, I said, Chris, recording voices on audio equipment, we can hear ghosts. It's like, they did on movies, it's poltergeist or exorcism or something. He's nonplussed. I'm like, okay. I accept it, start doing it. It's now part of the work. Next was another facet of ITC, real-time communication, Frank's box, Spiricom experiments, time stream, and all these big concepts. I'm like, oh my God, they're trying to work with us from the other side to improve communication, and they've contacted us X amount of times before. Blew my mind. I call up Chris. Hey Chris, real-time communication, the spirit box. I don't believe it. My buddy Chris, he's now the skeptic. He's kind of the other side of me. He very much keeps me in balance. So every time I get excited about something, he's there to shoot me down with skepticism. But at the same time, this keeps me grounded. And I've told a few of you outside, I built my team on what's called the 3-pillar system. Skeptic, scientist, psychic. 3 different viewpoints, like a system of checks and balances. Almost like the US government, except we actually work. And I found that, you can't have a baseball team with all pitchers. You can't have a paranormal team with all one type of person. You need lots of different people with different skill sets, different religions, different ways of looking at things, so that together you can come at each investigation well-rounded. And that's how we've been doing things for several years. So, how many of you guys watch the shows on TV? Do you all watch the TV shows? How many people watch Ghost Hunters? Oh, little meekly. Ghost Adventures? Oh, ladies, I love that. It's going to one. Haunted Collector? Yes. We got these numbers in the States, we'd still be on. Scared, once again, you cats in the back? All right. For those of you who haven't seen it, I'm just going to play this video really quickly. This is what I've been up to for the past 12 years, and this is why every time I want to collect it, when they ask me to crawl under a house, into a crawl space, or somewhere really dirty, it's because I do it on my own free time for free in my documentaries. It goes a little something like this. that's been our project that we've been doing for the past 12 years. And someone use this glass, Eddie. When we began, it was very much an urban exploration thing. We started in 2002, so there was really nothing on American TV to mimic. And 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, I mean, right now I think it's amazing that we can gather like this and have a convention and talk about these topics and say, hey, I believe, because 20, 30 years ago, this wasn't paranormal, it was the occult. And if you believed in it, you were weird, and you hung out with weird people, and you were bad. Sinner! Sinner! I was raised Catholic. So, I mean, I was always into these mysteries of our universe. I was always into these deeper topics, but yet there was really no outlet for this to be expressed. And I remember I used to look at the Necronomicon, and I would do all these other things, but yet, because of my upbringing, I was too afraid to do the Bloody Mary challenge in the mirror. You all heard of this? Wouldn't do it, just in case. So, okay, I'm a child, and my mind is open, and I believe in a lot of things, but as it is with children, you start off very much an open book, and you're told all these different things. And when you're a child, you believe in Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, Jesus, what have you. As you get older, one by one, they all start disappearing, some more than others. And a lot of times, as adults, we become very skeptical, become very jaded, and those things that we believed in or wanted to believe in as children are lost. So I feel like today, and especially in this age now, that we can gather like this, we're rediscovering wonder. We're rediscovering this, I guess, hope that there's something bigger, there's something greater. And for me, that's the biggest part of this journey. I'm getting something back. And like I said, when I was first starting this in 2002, officially, I was a skeptic. So obviously, somewhere along the line, I got very jaded. But now I feel like I'm coming back around. And you're going to hear me talk about spiritual things. You're going to hear me talk about protecting yourself. You're going to hear me talking about having faith. And that's so not the guy that I was when I started this. But you have to be. We're going to investigate, and we're going to look into things that are intangible, and we require proof. That's almost faith in itself. We have faith that there's something out there, and you can either believe in God, you can believe in science, you can believe in your equipment, but we still have belief. And I think that's what unites us all in our search. Okay, so I asked you guys before who's a skeptic and who's a believer, and there was a different mix. Let me ask you, okay, believer. Were you always so?
No, I was always too scared. When I was younger.
Too scared to believe. Now, if you were scared, wouldn't that almost belie a belief that, yes, I think something's going to hurt me?
Yeah, it would be that.
So, all right, for those skeptics, what would it take for you to maybe step a little closer to the believer line? Was it a piece of evidence? Yes, what would it take for you?
Just to say something in front of me.
So full-bodied apparition, maybe?
Yeah.
With touch?
Touch, yeah.
Scratch?
Yeah.
A bill? Okay. How about anyone else? What would it take? Let me hear some of what you guys think. What would it take for you to be a believer? Sure he does. Where's the rest of the skeptics? Skeptics, let me see you. Show of hands, skeptics. Francis, what would it take for you to really accept?
I would have to have a personal experience, and to me it does not matter if anyone else has caught it on tape, audio, or video. If I feel that I have had something that I can personally not explain by any scientific logic, then I feel that it lends credibility to.
I feel like you've got that written on the back of your camera. But that's the definition of a personal experience. Doesn't matter how much proof you show me, it doesn't matter what you tell me. And this is the hardest thing. I go to a lot of these events, and invariably there'll be scores of people who say, look at this picture, I took this at my brother's house, and look at this orb, and there's a face, and it's colored orange. What does that mean? They already know what they want it to mean. They already know what they feel it is. They're looking for validation from me, that I can say, oh yes, look at this. Oh my God, this is amazing. But again, I wasn't there. So I can either give you my professional answer, or I can give you the answer that you're looking for. More often than not, I say, hey, well, I wasn't there, so it's not like I can refute what you're showing me. I have to trust in you that what you're telling me are the conditions that were there when you took this picture. But I could say it's dust, it's orbs, it's the Archangel Michael. Whatever it is, you've already kind of given your thought to it and applied your stamp. But I've also been doing this a long time, so my perspective is different, which leads me to another question. You guys didn't realize you were going to get quizzed so much when you came in here. I'm going to ask you guys a question. It's a question you've all heard before in some manner. I want you to take a moment and think about it. Don't just say it. And I'm going to ask some of you guys what your response to it is. Now, all right, I will tell you all that there is no wrong answer to this question. But there's only one correct one. So technically there's only one right answer, but there's no wrong answer. You guys ready? Are you guys ready? All right. Is the glass half full or half empty? What happened to the waiting for a minute? Because I don't listen. Okay, so think about it. For the rest of you, think about it. I'm going to hold it again. Now, substitute glass for container. Substitute water for liquid. Now, there will be some people who will give me one answer. Some people will give me another answer. There will be a couple of rules lawyers out there who are going to try to semantically dance around my question to either prove me wrong or to really back up their claim. Like I said, there are no wrong answers, just one right one. Fiona?
Yes.
Half full. Why?
Well, because I see it as a reflection on myself, rather than seeing the negatives, what you haven't got, what you don't see, is what you have got, what you can't got.
So boil that down, you're an optimist, so it's half full. Okay, fair. Sir? Danny?
Completely full.
Completely full. Why?
Half of it's water.
She's
and half,
what?
half of it's water and the other half's air.
Half water, half air, so it's half full. So you're going by the scientific molecules and things.
Yeah.
Okay. David?
Right, that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
David?
How full because it could be empty.
Because it couldn't be empty? Because it couldn't be empty. Okay, let's say take the back row. It's back row. John. Is the container / glass half full or half empty? Or despite Randy drinking some from it. Why? You don't have. And how about the back row? Do you have any different opinions? Half full. You all came together? Both. Why? It's both. It's half full and half empty. This is the Schrodinger's cats of water bottles. So this exists simultaneously in two states. Interesting. Okay. How about you guys? Front row. Half full or half empty? Why? I what? I drank half of it, so it's half empty. Both. Why? So it could be either, depending on perspective. Now, interesting. Like I said, all of these answers, none of them are wrong, but there's only one answer that we can come away with in total agreement on, and that's there is liquid in the container. That's it. That is the only right answer, because every other answer that I asked was dependent upon perspective. Your personal perspective, that you, from the moment you were born to the minute you sat down in these chairs and I asked you this question, your perspective colors who you are and alters what you see. So depending upon your age, your gender, your social status, your race, your economic situation, whatever it is that makes you, changes this perspective. Therefore, it cannot be truth, but it's a personal truth. And this is kind of one of the tough things about being in the paranormal. So, what does this have to do with investigating? You didn't come up here to Derby to listen to me talk about liquid and plastic containers. What does this have to do with the paranormal?
Any sports in it?
Maybe. Perspective. Now, depending upon your personal perspective, skeptic, believer, skeptical believer, religion, Catholic, pagan, atheist, Muslim, whatever, this changes how you look at investigations. I mean, on my team alone, we've got pretty much all of the above. We go into a haunted location. At the time when I was an atheist, I said, hey, there's nothing. Our Muslim investigator was like, everything's a jinn. Catholics like, everything's a demon. And, you know, where do you come at? Because it's your perspective. You all heard that, right? Is Matt still out there?
No, he took off.
Okay, lady all the way in the back hallway. What was that? Did you hear that? Oh my God, it was a ghost, right? In the front row, you know, you saw what happened, so your perspective is different than hers all the way in the back. So every time you go on an investigation, every time we set up a camera and swear that no one was in the room, or swear that there's no way this could have moved or been touched, we're applying our personal perspective to it. And we have to leave that aside. We almost have to step outside of ourselves and look at everything empirically. Gil Grissom on CSI would always say, follow the evidence. And I think that's a wonderful thing because without passion, without prejudice, you just have to follow the numbers and see what it is you're coming out. And as investigators, what are we looking for? Richard, what are we looking for?
Ghosts.
We're not looking for ghosts.
The truth.
Who said that? We're looking for truth. Yes. And sometimes that truth means there are no ghosts in location, or maybe they're not there right now. We're looking for truth because everything else is perspective. You go into a location with all believers and you want to see a ghost, most likely, you'll probably see one. You'll make it happen. Or if you're very skeptical, like, there's nothing here. And the ghost of Elvis himself can come and shimmy in front of you, and you'll be like, that was nothing. You'll find a way to make that happen. So, truth. We're looking for truth. Liquid in the glass. That's it. That's what we've got. Everything else is flavor text. So how do we get around this? How do we come closer to proving to doing anything? I mean, you watch the ghost shows on TV, and they hear a noise or something happens, a bunch of guys run around in night vision, and hey, is that proof? No, that's entertainment. And having been on both sides of the TV process, I wasn't on a show. I was on a show, and now I'm not. My tune really hasn't changed. Enjoy the TV shows. They're great. They're entertainment. Be entertained by them. But don't base your sole knowledge of the paranormal on those shows. Because while they should be a beginning point for your learning, it shouldn't be your sole education on it. And it's funny, I come across a lot of investigators. They've got everything. They've got millimeters, REM pods, IR cams. They've got all the tech. I'm like, well, why do you use this? Because Zach does. All right. And it's just because you have the tools doesn't engender you with the knowledge behind it. So that's why I tell people, read, research, get mentored by somebody who has been in a while. Go on and investigate, go to a haunted location and hear the history about these places. Soak it in. Don't rush out to start right away. Be patient because this is a game that's won in the long haul. This is a long game, and you see a lot of people start getting really excited about it, and then they find out, oh man, this is work. I don't get an EVP in 20 minutes like on the shows. No, you're sitting there in the dark, 5, 6, 7, 10 hours sometimes, and nothing happens. And I mean, that happens on the shows too, you just don't see it. It's cut down to nice little entertaining bits, and we finally get the first EVP before the first commercial break. And invariably I have to go, Chris, we better get your dad. But, it's cool. Because this is what we're doing, and it's a passion. It's a calling. I always tell people, okay, if this is something you want to do it. You can do it. But this, if you notice, is the only, I can't even call it a profession. This is the only passion or hobby that you can just do by watching a TV show. I can't watch House MD, I can't watch any other medical drama and then go, you know, I'm going to operate on somebody tomorrow. I'm going to go buy some scrubs and come on, let's go do this. I'm going to cut you and it's going to be fine. Oh, you having a cough, sir? Oh, here, yeah, let's find something here. Take this and call me in the morning. But we do it. And we operate under the guise of professionalism. And I think that's a good thing. We put on the uniforms, our black t-shirts, with the acronym that's really forced into some name. And that's cool. But we're the only discipline that does this. I can't watch a do-it-yourself construction show and then go build a house tomorrow. And you're not going to hire me to build your house, because if you did, but why do we do this? It's getting back to hope, getting back to belief. Everyone says, I want to help. We want to help these people. What made you qualified to do so? And that's a question. And a lot of these questions I ask are rhetorical, and I've asked them of myself a lot. And that's why I do not too many personal cases unless it's really a problem. And then half the time I'm calling in, John Zappis, why other people were better qualified than I to take care of this. Because one of the things that I try to entreat upon people is that don't be afraid to say, I don't know. People come to you and they go, I'm having problems. What's this? We don't know what to do. And the groups acting out of kindness and goodness, they want to help these people, they'll make up an answer. They'll figure, we'll come down, we'll investigate, roll up with all the equipment, and yet, can you really tell them what it is that's going on? Not always. And yet, they came to you for an answer, they came to you for help. You don't want to let them down. So, oh, this happened. But again, that's your perspective. So I ask those of you in groups right now, be careful, avoid hubris, and maybe let's all slow it down until we come to a consensus about what's happening out there. And there's one story in particular that I think about a lot when it comes to investigating and how we investigate. How many people have you guys heard of a place called Eastern State Penitentiary? Okay, cool. Actually, a question I wanted to ask before. What do you guys think is the most important piece of equipment to bring on an investigation? Wow, have you heard this before? This is good. We're getting this up to a good start. Usually people say millimeter or a recorder, IR camera. Your cell phone, Zach. Yourself. Your body is an incredibly sophisticated piece of equipment. Just like think about your eye, how your eye works. The amazing complexities that go into just having your body operate on a day-to-day basis. Your heart requires little maintenance, except for all the fast food I eat. Very little maintenance, and it works for years. Keeps you going, keeps you alive. You should pay attention to it. The meter can only tell you so much. Beep, 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 beep. Okay, it says 2. What now? But your body can tell you a little bit more. When I first started, I wasn't ready to accept this. I didn't think about this at all. And my team went to Eastern State to investigate. Now, this was our first time off of Staten Island, so we were very impressed with ourselves. Like, oh yeah, come on, we're ready. Bring in all the equipment. Let's do this. Set up the cameras. Let's get one here, let's get here. We were setting up, and I started to feel a pain. Guys, you know this pain. I'm thinking, okay, again, late 20s, just out of college. I'm like, it's too young for hernia. Could be, did I lift something? Did I twist something the wrong way? What's the girl's name last night? Just kidding on that. But I had this pain, I couldn't explain it. So I told Chris, I gotta go outside, I gotta get some air. Maybe I'll feel better. Go outside, 5 minutes pass, I feel better. Whatever it is, all right, it's done. Okay, time to get to the investigation. Let's go back inside. All right, ready to go. What are we doing? It just came out of nowhere, and it seemed like there was nothing I could do about it. So I manned up, I got through the investigation, and we went home. And as sometimes young men will do, if it's not bothering you right now, you don't go get anything checked. So I was fine. This was in 2004. 8 years later, in 2012, there was a paranormal event, very much like this one, at Eastern State. And we had our investigation portion of it in the prison. Now, the way the prison is arranged is a hub and spoke pattern, like a wheel. So in the center is the hub, guards will stand there, and all the cell blocks are radiating around it. So assigned to each cell block was one of the paranormal personalities. So I'm assigned in one cell block. And every 45 minutes, we would rotate and change. So you guys would rotate through us so you could work with everybody. And every 45 minutes, when we would come together in the center, we would share experiences about what just happened. So have you guys heard of a psychic named Chris Fleming?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris Fleming. Nope. He's on his act. Died. Come in the middle. He's like, "Hey, Brian, I just got touched with the balls." I said, "Of course you did. You're psychic. You." Aha! And it clicked. You didn't have to be psychic to get this information. Back in 2004, something was trying to reach out to me. This wasn't a bed and breakfast. This wasn't a restaurant. This wasn't a cushy place with nice pillows and scented candles. This was a prison. Eastern State was trying to make me its bitch. But it took me 8 years to understand that whatever was there probably couldn't give me an EVP. It couldn't reach out to me in any other way other than empathy. My body was telling me, hey, there's something wrong here. It's in a region that I'm really uncomfortable with, but that's any port in a storm, apparently. So pay attention to that. Do we know if we're doing an investigation tonight? Anywhere here? At this convention? No, I don't know. Well, regardless, next time you guys find yourself on an investigation, do pay attention to your body. Tell you amazing things. If you're in a room and all of a sudden your arm starts hurting, maybe that's a spirit that either was wounded or is trying to get that information to you the only way it can. Any questions so far? Bueller? Anyone? Smart group. So yeah, I feel that what we do is important work. I feel that what we do is a lot of fun. It's amazing. I've had a great time over the years I've been doing this. I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of knowledgeable people. I've met a lot of cool people through doing this, the conventions and in the work. What do you guys feel is maybe the most haunted location you've seen? Like you watch the TV shows, what locations stick out in your mind? It's like, wow, I've got to see that. Grand Midway Hotel. Anyone else?
Blackbear Church.
Where?
Blackbear Church.
Is it far? Can we go? No? Okay. How about you guys?
Yeah.
And, can we go?
Yeah.
Let's do this. All right, later, guys. It's tough because after a while, like when you first start this, you go to places that are thrilling. You want that thrill, you want that roller coaster ride effect. And when you find out that it's work, it's like. And when you first start out, you're very serious. You're very detail-oriented. I guarantee everyone who's started out, who's on the team right now, is probably under these exact words. Is there any spirit here who wishes to communicate? Verbatim. Because you want to sound official. You want to sound like, I'm serious, I'm mean business, and I wish to speak to you. Now, honestly, who talks like that? I know we're in England now, and the language is very cultured. But in general, it's not like I'm going to go, well, perhaps I would be happy to have a conversation with you forthwith. This guy. We don't speak like that. Hi, my name's Brian. It's nice to meet you. See, this is communication, not that other bit here. And I find that in paranormal investigating, we have to remember to be human. We have to remember to be ourselves. And sometimes, if that includes a little bit of, over-the-topness, which sometimes we call provoking, so be it. You're being you. You have to communicate as yourself. And at the same time, and again, a lot of what I say seems contradictory, you have to leave yourself out of it in order to be able to see clearly. Now, I could go in a lot of different directions with this, but in order to do what we do on the long haul, like I said before, you're going to change, and you're going to be affected by it. I mean, some of the things I'm looking into now, I'm in the middle of an oh shit moment presently in some of my research. But the difficult part about this is, all right, more questions. Water goes from a liquid state to a solid state. At what degrees? Fahrenheit or Celsius, I'll take either. For what? Minus 18.
Is it? Oh, it's freezing temperature. Sorry.
David, help me out.
I'm not
I know it has done.
Okay.
Either 32 degrees Fahrenheit or
Thank you.
0 Celsius.
0 Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the freezing point for water. We know this. We've measured this. We even have two numbers to describe it. On two different scales. We know this. And there's a lot of water falling from the sky in here, so you guys should know this. Okay, if I went to the top of this building, and I took this bottle, and I dropped it off, it's going to fall at a constant rate. It's going to accelerate at what rate? Not Francis. Yes. On this planet, due to the rotation of the Earth and its size, that's a constant. Gravity will pull on a constant rate until maximum acceleration. We know this. We've measured this. It's repeatable. We know it. All right, who's in the paranormal group? Besides our hosts. Okay, Dawn. She's like, oh, can I have my t-shirt? Oh, what's your role in the team? Oh, you would be good. Okay. Look, I'm going to throw you a curveball. At what concentration of milligauss per square foot, or rather per square meter, indicates a haunting at a location? You can phone a friend. You could confer, and then you give me your answer.
No.
Good. That's the answer. It doesn't. We don't have that number. This is data we don't have yet. And if you were to make a guess, that would have been fine. But every time I ask someone that, they feel like, oh shit, I don't know this. That's okay. None of us do. And this is why, like I said, when I started, I was a skeptic. Now I've moved into the middle. I consider myself a scientist. I'm not looking to prove or to disprove. I know it exists. I know what we're looking for is out there. Everything in the universe operates under laws. We just don't understand. We haven't discovered them yet. So my task, my quest, if you will, is to get that empirical data. And maybe, who knows, 30, 40 years down the line, a footnote in the book somewhere will be like, the Cano efficient says that blah, 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 blah. And then all this will have been for something. But it's perspective. And again, asking these questions, I want you guys to never stop searching, never stop pushing these boundaries, never stop pushing these borders. And everything that I tell you here, like I said, I want to stretch that in you. You can leave this room and go, you know what? Brian has no idea what he's talking about. Whatever. He's a crackpot. Matt, don't bring him back next year. I want you to question it. Don't take what I say at face value. Look into it. Research it. If I'm wrong, I need to know about it. And that's what I like about kind of being the scientist, because I'm going to base my opinions and observations on the data. So, I mean, just look throughout our history. We used to believe that the Earth was flat. We used to believe that the Earth was the center of our galaxy. We used to believe that gnomes lived in your body and caused ill humors. Imagine what we'll know tomorrow, even about this. And even just, in the beginning, with the spiritualist movement, the Fox sisters, table tipping, dowsing rods, some of these methods are still used today. So many of those figures were proved frauds, and yet we still continue on. Why? It's that belief, it's that hope that we hang on to, that it doesn't end, it doesn't stop. We don't just and done. And here's the thing, as a scientist, this is what makes things so incredibly difficult. I just pulled out some numbers. 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 9.87 meters per second squared. How do I write an equation for you? How do I take a bunch of ones and zeros that say, wait, zeros and ones? How do I do this? How do I boil each one of us down to equation? Because for the most part, what we are looking for when we're asking, is there anyone who wishes to communicate? Like, we're trying to make contact. We're trying to speak to another personality, soul, spirit, whatever the nomenclature. We're looking to make that connection. All right. Water freezing, there's no connection there. Gravity, there's no connection there. I'm trying to connect with you. How do I do that with a formula? You can't. And it comes back down to that perspective again. Each one of us is different. We have different perspectives, which is what makes us unique. And I know a lot of you in groups, and especially when you first start out, you want that empirical data, you want that proof, you need that experience, because I'm not going to believe it until I see it for myself or it's shown. And it's hard because your eyes can fool you, you can be deceived, you can be tricked. Not maliciously, but sometimes we get things wrong. And when you boil everything down to the numbers don't lie, but it's your interpretation of those numbers that is so very important. So I also feel it's very important to revisit old data. I've gone back and I've looked at old recordings that I've missed. I said, oh wow, there's a bunch of stuff in here I missed. All right, I got that EVP now. Or things that I've gotten that I was very excited about, I look back again, maybe look through some video logs and other evidence, and I think, all right, this isn't as great as I thought it was. Feel free to go back and look over your prior notes again. Now we're kind of getting to the end of this, so any questions? I feel like I've been doing all the talking. Anyone? Seriously? Nobody? All right, so when I talk to you guys later, I'm going to expect that you're going to know everything I'm talking about. Anything missed in the back? No?
It's all good.
Debbie.
About uniqueness, I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll get to you next time. Debbie, raise your hand.
I was going to say, anywhere in the UK you'd like to investigate?
Everywhere. Well, sadly, I'm only here till Tuesday, but where would I like to investigate? There's so much history here. There's so much in the ley lines. There's so much that's just ongoing. Actually, I was having a conversation with Richard yesterday about why things here haven't blown up like they have in the States. And that's because it seems as a culture, you guys accept it, and it's just part of your lives, whereas for us, it's different. We're looking for that proof. We're looking, no, that can't be real. Whereas here, oh yeah, it's real. Whatever. Yes.
I was talking about uniqueness between people and everything. I take it that sort of way spirits like to communicate by sending a lot of pain here, or rather than just saying to a person, this is what happened to me. That's the same in the spirit world, is it? That they're showing what had happened to them and various parts of their body. They can't just say, this is what happened to me. Do they have different energy levels? Because some spirits will come through stronger than others. What's your theory on that?
Well, I feel just like people are different and people communicate differently. Like when I asked you guys questions, hey, who does this? There's some people who went And so everyone, by the same token, okay, if there is, since everything is energy, energy is energy, matter is energy, all this, the same stuff, it's all energy, waves and pulses, it's all really just translations of the same thing. If it is about energy and trying to project that to you, all right, spirit doesn't have a physical body, can't force air through lungs, diaphragm, past your lips and tongue to make a waveform that your ears hear and your brain translates into language. So how are they going to do this? Imagine I can't speak. I have to somehow...
Difference over here, Brian.
Any French in here? You just made a perfect example of how communication is different. Like John Lennon got it wrong. Wait. Just that simple gesture alone is proof how